You've been in bed for 2 hours, you're exhausted, but you can't sleep, and the longer you lie there, the worse it gets. You check the clock 2 a.m., then 3, then 4, and somewhere in between you start doing the math. How many hours until your alarm? How destroyed tomorrow is going to feel? That math? It's making things significantly worse. Here's the brutal truth. The way most people try to fix their sleep is actually making it worse. And there are two silent problems destroying millions of people's sleep every single night. Most of them have no idea either one is happening. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly what's killing your sleep, why the common fixes backfire, and what science says actually works. Stay with me, because this one changes everything. Let's start with the thing nobody talks about. About 1 in 3 adults report some kind of sleep complaint, but there's a specific pattern that crosses the line from bad night into something much more serious, and it's called chronic insomnia disorder. Here's how you know the difference. Poor sleep? That's normal. A rough night tied to stress, travel, or a big meal? It fades when the cause fades. Chronic insomnia? That's when it takes you 30+ minutes to fall asleep, or you wake up repeatedly during the night, at least 3 nights a week for 3 or more months, and your days suffer for it. Fatigue, brain fog, mood crashes, and performance dropping off a cliff. About 10% of adults have the full disorder. Many more are somewhere in between. But here's where things get really interesting. Most people with insomnia don't have a sleep problem. And they have a wakefulness problem. Let me explain what that means, because this is the insight that changes how you fix it. Sleep is controlled by two systems running in parallel. One is your homeostatic sleep drive, the pressure that builds the longer you stay awake, powered by a chemical called adenosine. The other is your circadian rhythm, your biological clock that times when sleep is supposed to happen. In chronic insomnia, both of those systems are often completely intact. The real problem is something working against them: excessive wake drive, a state of hyperarousal, physiological, cognitive, emotional, that keeps the brain's on switch stuck. And the most common cause of that hyperarousal? Stress about sleep itself. This is how the cycle starts. One bad night happens, stress, caffeine, a nightmare, whatever. So you start worrying. That worry activates your fight or flight system. Your heart rate ticks up, your cortisol rises, your brain goes into problem-solving mode. And that state, that vigilant, activated state, is the exact opposite of what sleep requires. So now you lie in bed trying harder to sleep, and that's the moment it becomes a trap. Sleep researcher Dr. Michael Granner puts it simply: the enemy of sleep is effort. Nobody gets to sleep faster by trying harder. When you consciously push for sleep, you activate the prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain involved in problem solving and vigilance. It's alerting, it opposes sleep, and it gets worse. Because the more nights you spend lying awake in bed, frustrated, calculating how many hours you have left, scanning your body for signs of drowsiness, the more your brain learns that the bed itself is a stressful place. This is called conditioned arousal. Your bedroom becomes a cue, not for rest, but for anxiety. Like Pavlov's dogs, except instead of salivating at a bell, your brain wakes up when it hits the pillow. This is why so many people with insomnia sleep better in hotels. Less history, less pressure. The bed hasn't been trained to trigger the alarm, so the bed that was supposed to be your sanctuary has become the problem. And every night you spend lying there fighting, it makes the conditioning stronger. Most people don't realize this is what's happening. They just know sleep feels harder and harder to reach. Here's where things change. The most effective non-drug treatment for chronic insomnia is called CBT-I, Cognitive Behavioral Therapy for Insomnia. It's the gold standard. It outperforms sleeping pills short-term and blows them out of the water long-term, with no dependency, no tolerance, no withdrawal. It works on roughly 70 to 80% of people with chronic insomnia, and it has two core techniques that do most of the heavy lifting. The first is stimulus control. This is about retraining your brain's association with the bed. The rules are simple but firm. Use the bed only for sleep and sex, nothing else. No phones, no TV, no lying there worrying. If you've been awake for more than 15 to 20 minutes, get out of bed. Go to another room, do something boring in dim light. Sit quietly, read a dull book on paper, listen to calm audio. No screens. Nothing that engages the brain. Return to bed only when you feel genuinely sleepy. Not just tired, but drowsy, heavy eyelids, yawning. The real thing. Repeat that as many times as needed through the night and maintain a fixed wake time every single morning, including weekends, no matter how little you slept. This sounds almost insultingly simple, but it's doing something powerful. It's extinguishing the conditioned link between your bed and wakefulness and rebuilding the association that bed means rapid sleep onset. Night by night, the conditioning shifts back. The second is sleep restriction therapy. This one feels counterintuitive. It has one of the worst names in medicine, but it's one of the most effective tools that exists. Here's how it works. You figure out your average actual sleep time using a diary. If you sleep about 6 hours but spend 8 or 9 hours in bed, you restrict your time in bed to roughly 6 hours. You keep a fixed rise time, and you don't expand that window until you're spending 85% or more of your time in bed actually asleep. What this does is build sleep pressure. Adenosine accumulates, sleep drive strengthens, and when you finally get into bed during your window, you fall asleep faster, stay asleep longer, and get deeper, more consolidated sleep. The first week can feel rough. That's normal. But within 2 to 4 weeks, most people see a real shift. There's one more technique worth knowing, and this one surprises people. It's called paradoxical intention. Instead of trying to fall asleep, you gently try to stay awake. Lie comfortably, eyes open or soft gaze. Give yourself full permission to just be awake. You're not fighting it, not forcing it, just resting. What this does is remove performance anxiety from the equation entirely. And when the pressure drops, sleep often comes faster than any conscious effort could produce. These techniques aren't magic. They require consistency, but they address the actual root cause, the conditioned wakefulness, rather than just chemically overriding it. Now here's the part most people completely miss. There is a second thing killing millions of people's sleep, and it operates almost entirely in silence. Sleep apnea. It affects somewhere between 9 and 38% of adults, depending on the criteria used. Many estimates put moderate to severe cases at over 15% of the adult population. And up to 80 or 90% of cases go undiagnosed. Here's why it's so sneaky. When you have obstructive sleep apnea, your upper airway collapses repeatedly during sleep, sometimes dozens or even hundreds of times a night. Each time it collapses, your brain triggers a microarousal to reopen it. You don't fully wake up, you don't remember it happening, but the damage is real. These constant micro-interruptions destroy your sleep architecture. Your deep, slow-wave sleep gets gutted. That's stage 3, the stage responsible for physical restoration, growth hormone release, and your brain's glymphatic cleaning system, which clears out metabolic waste, including proteins linked to Alzheimer's disease. Your REM sleep gets suppressed. That's the dream stage, critical for emotional processing, memory consolidation, and synaptic health. What's left is mostly light, fragmented stage 1 sleep. You spend 8 hours in bed and wake up feeling like you slept for 3. Many people with sleep apnea don't snore loudly or gasp dramatically. They just feel exhausted. They struggle with focus. Their mood is unstable. They think they're just bad sleepers or stressed or getting older. They're not. They have a treatable breathing disorder. The red flags to watch for: waking frequently through the night, morning headaches, dry mouth upon waking, unrefreshing sleep despite enough hours in bed, and daytime sleepiness that doesn't make sense given how long you were asleep. If a partner has ever told you that you stop breathing or gasp in your sleep, that's the clearest signal of all. The only way to know for sure is a sleep study. Home tests are available and convenient, but they can miss cases. If you get a negative result and still feel terrible, push for a full lab study. If sleep apnea is confirmed, CPAP therapy is the gold standard. An oral appliance or positional therapy may work for milder cases. The research is clear. Treating the breathing disorder transforms sleep quality in ways that no supplement or behavioral technique alone can match. And if you have both insomnia and sleep apnea, which is more common than most people realize, CBT-I can be layered in alongside treatment for the breathing issues, often improving CPAP adherence significantly. Now let's talk about the things you can start doing today. Morning light is non-negotiable. Getting bright natural light, ideally outdoor sunlight, within an hour of waking is one of the strongest signals you can send to your circadian clock. It suppresses residual melatonin, anchors your internal timing, and sets you up for better sleep that night. Even on overcast days, outdoor light outperforms indoor lighting significantly. Delay your first coffee. Waiting 60 to 90 minutes after waking before drinking caffeine prevents you from blunting your natural morning cortisol rise. It also makes the caffeine more effective when you do drink it. And cut off caffeine at least 6 to 8 hours before bed. Late caffeine measurably fragments deep sleep even in people who say it doesn't affect them. Ditch the bedtime cliffhanger, ending the night on a suspenseful TV episode, an anxious scroll through the news, or a gripping chapter of a thriller is a direct hit to your sleep onset. Suspenseful content creates cognitive arousal, open loops your brain keeps processing, that delays sleep and can fuel middle-of-the-night rumination. Switch to something boring and predictable at least 30 to 60 minutes before bed. On supplements, melatonin can help with circadian timing, jet lag, shift work, delayed sleep phase. But it's not a powerful sedative. Low doses of 0.5 to 3 milligrams work better than the megadoses most products sell. Magnesium glycinate may support relaxation, especially if your diet is low in it. L-theanine is mildly calming for some people. These are adjuncts, helpful supports, not solutions on their own. And alcohol is not a sleep aid. It may help you fall asleep, but as it metabolizes, it causes a rebound that fragments the second half of your night. It suppresses REM sleep. The data is clear. Here's the insight that most people never hear, and it matters more than any single tip. You cannot solve a sleep problem by trying harder to sleep. The entire conventional approach, forcing yourself to relax, taking more pills, spending more time in bed hoping it'll add up, works directly against the biology. Sleep is a passive process. It has to be allowed, not performed. The people who sleep best are the ones who've stopped treating sleep as a task to complete. They've built consistent rhythms, trained their brain to associate the bed with rapid sleep onset, addressed underlying disorders like apnea, and learned to stop fighting. The measure of progress in CBT-I isn't how sleepy you feel, it's how much time you're spending awake in bed. Less time awake in bed means the training is working, so everything else follows. So here's what to take with you. If you're lying awake most nights, spending too much time in bed is likely making it worse. Your brain has been conditioned to expect wakefulness where there should be sleep. The fix is retraining. Through stimulus control, sleep restriction, and getting out of bed when you're awake. If you wake up exhausted despite enough hours in bed, get evaluated for sleep apnea. It is far more common than you think, far more damaging than most people realize, and completely treatable. And if you're trying hard to fix your sleep, stop trying so hard. Get up, get morning light, keep a consistent wake time. Make your bed a signal for sleep again, not a battlefield. The science is clear, the tools exist, and the people who use them get their sleep back. If you found this useful, subscribe. We break down complex health and performance science into things you can actually use.